The Senate has no business having this discussion. I saw a clip on Twitter yesterday that I think the House of Reps were discussing the dressing of one of their honorable colleagues. Somebody was distraught that another member was not wearing a tie. And I thought these people don't have work. But honestly, that is a more productive conversation than the Senate discussing DStv prices. They have no business doing it, but actually it is one of their favorite topics. So if you search online, you find that every 2 or 3 years, the Senate will table this. It's like there's a roster that they go through certain topics and then they get back, it's time for DStv again. Let's handle their matter. That's really the approach here. They have no business doing it, particularly now that we have the FCCPC, which was set up a few years ago, that is set up to handle this precise matter. And I heard you earlier referencing them, right? So the Senate again, the National Assembly as a whole, NBC, none of these guys have any business dictating prices to any pay TV.
Okay, so yes, they don't have a right to do it, but are there conditions where government has the right to dictate prices to private businesses? Because again, we need to have this conversation away from DStv. A lot of people who listen to this segment, who listen to Nigeria Info, are business owners. They are private business owners, right? So they also need to know if there are certain conditions that allows government to dictate prices to their private business.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I would say that there are two broad conditions, right? One is in the event of something that we call price gouging. Price gouging is when there's an extraordinary event and suppliers in a market hike up prices of a product that has now become a necessity because they want to exploit that. Right? So a very good example is when COVID first hit and suddenly hand sanitizers were costing 30,000 naira when before they were costing 2,000 naira. Now, that is an established situation for when governments around the world step in and say, no, it is not in the public interest to do this. You are being exploitative. Even then, there are still some debates, but I would say that that is a legitimate. The second situation is broader, and this is where, honestly, you get into trouble with governments that have bad intents. But generally speaking, when they are acting in the public interest, governments do step in and control prices. And there are lots of examples of this, right? You go to the US, very famously in New York, for a very long time, lots of apartments in some of the best parts of New York City have been rent controlled, meaning that landlords cannot charge rent above a certain price. It's a very controversial policy, but it's something that I know has been running since at least the 90s. And I think that there's still parts of the city that are subject to that. You come to Nigeria and you see something like petrol. Again, the government believes that it is in the public interest to control the price of petrol. Now, I say that this is where you get into trouble because governments often make bad decisions, even when they have good intentions. Right? Market prices are market prices for a reason. Right? They balance the market in the long term. They are not always correct, and when markets fail, governments are allowed to step in. But actually, I would say that in Nigeria, we suffer more often from instances of government failure than market failure, right? And you had been speaking about whether DStv is a necessity. One of the key conditions for acting in the public interest is this product, something that affects large proportion of the population. I do not think pay TV crosses that.